Happy Mother's Day, Michael Fran.
Happy Mother's Day.
For the mother in all of us.
Oh yes, to Fran and to your mother Fran, right? Is that right?
Annie Mack.
Annie, and my mother Evelyn.
Mm-hmm. Well, to all mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. And Michael very generously has invited me to share a poem of mine for this Mother's Day. So I'd like to do that. And the little bit of intro that I think I need to give you is that Mama was in the hospital for surgery on her colon. And shortly after she came out, she was in recovery, and so this poem is set at that time, and it's called Privilege. Home from the hospital, Mama is groggy, dazed, napping much of the day, but sipping chicken broth and scuffing about the house. I sit on the edge of her cot, a squeaky raft. The room smells sweetly of urine. A neighbor's poodle shivers in my lap. Good to see you up, I tell her. She fusses in a chest of drawers, shuffles to the closet, then inches away, faces me. Want to see my scar? Everyone else has. Before I can speak, she hikes up her skirt, hooks a thumb in the band of her cotton underpants, and tugs them down. The scar, like any still raw with stitches, bright violet, a bristling sisal snake below her navel. What I have never seen, not as child or adult, is the small fold below. Shrunken, with a tuft like the head of a bird. Gray, maybe blonde. My life's beginning, close enough to touch. Her pale thighs raise it like a vase. One glimpse. She drops her skirt and shuffles away, carelessly, as if nothing has changed, the room not holding its breath.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Before we finished, and whenever you want to, I'd love to hear it again. And this is called Privilege?
Privilege, yeah.
Because? Oh, because. Gee.
Yeah, because.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, it makes me, which I guess is a good sign, cry and shudder. Scares me. And yourself? Reading it this time? Or presenting it this time?
I am touched by these moments of intimacy that we have with our parents. I mean, I don't know if we can have a greater intimacy than we have with our mother. Certainly the most physical intimacy possible is the intimacy that we have with our mother, who gives birth to us. And I think that we kind of seek that intimacy for the rest of our lives. And some might suggest that our seeking for God is our seeking for that intimacy again, that spacious ocean of love and mercy, or however we conceive of this wonderful, amazing, horrible, beautiful life thing.
Would you mind presenting it again? Privilege?
I don't know if I want to present it right now, though.
Okay.
Why? Is there something that you need?
No, I had nothing to say, and I said that to... Well, I feel my mother now, present. Fine, I can do that at least choose to and imagine that
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Now, do you feel her presence? Now, when did she pass away?
In 2000, August 13th, 2000.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk a little bit about what it was like in the period right after she died? Your relationship with her in the period after she died? And how that might differ with your relationship with her right now?
Oh, I have a poem too.
Oh.
I don't know. If you talk a little bit, I could find it. But it won't be. Oh, yes, I have the poem. I know where it is because it's on the day I put it on the day she died.
Okay.
Okay, it's hard to follow Michael Mack's poetry, but August 13th. Hi, Mom. I will cause breath to enter bones. Ezekiel. I've little memory of Mother hitting me with painful ecstasy. Numb in body and mind, I break glass when she's gone. Imagine breaking bones, moving us to scream, moan, sensing cold marrow, freeze, her to breeze, me to breathe. So when my mother died, I was working with my movement teacher, and I was angry. And he wanted me to hit a pillow with my fist like that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, I want to break something. And he said, no, just hit. And one of the few times we were together after he left, when the hour was over, I felt very incomplete. I take a glass and I put it in a pot and I get out a hammer and I break the glass and I feel better. Much better.
What was the relationship between, if there was one, between that act, between the feeling that drove that act or incited that act, between that and your mother dying?
I don't know. I've tried with this poem my mother did used to hit me until my bones got too hard. In my teens, my bones got hard enough so it hurt her hands, and she stops. She would hit me anytime. And Mom, you know I love you, so I'm saying this affectionately. I guess it is affectionately in some ways, but my mother would hit me and then say, boys, don't stop crying. Michael, stop crying. Boys, don't cry. Make me feel like I'm a lousy mother. Stop. So maybe I don't know, breaking glass was some kind of hitting and breaking was whatever. I don't know the explanation, and it's important to me, but not as important as it really worked.
The writing of the poem worked.
No, the hitting, the breaking of
Okay.
the writing of the poem was trying to make sense of it. I don't know how well of, maybe I'm not going to even go into the poem now. I mean, if you want to stay with this, we could see you had certainly a very challenging relationship with your mother too. which makes challenging spirituality in some ways and challenging relationships to women.
I imagine, yeah.
Imagine. Right, use your imagination as much as you can.
Imagination is the way out.
Yeah.
Imagination is the answer.
So it's been a hard... I used to touch women. This is in my... I did not make love until I was 30. I had no feeling whatsoever. None. I had just numbed out.
Mm-hmm.
I would touch someone and have zero feeling. And I kind of knew something was wrong. I had once read that lettuce helps fertility. That's why rabbits are so fertile. I ate lots of lettuce. I'm not making this up. Does it help?
Did it work?
No.
Did it help?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing. It was very frightening to touch people and feel nothing.
You should have touched them with a lettuce.
Yeah.
That's the
I
answer.
think I
That's the secret.
Needed you in my youth to help me. So then I would touch women. I'm 30 years old, and I would touch them like this to see if they were going to hit me. I wasn't even sure knew why I was doing that. Now I think I was afraid they would hit me. So I finally found in my late 60s a sweetheart who was very kind. And I could trust holding her hand and know she was really kind. She is kind. And I needed more than I imagined that kindness. Going all the way back, kindness to baby Mikey. I had to be young again also and get the kind of kind and loving and undemanding and unthreatening touch that I got the opposite of from my mother.
Well, that word kindness, I want to pick up on because it's... it seems like an important word. It's certainly an important word to me, and it sounds like an important word to you. And the way that a gift that you have given me is this idea, this task that you've set for yourself, or this aim that you have of being completely honest and being completely kind. And I think it's a marvelous aim to strive for. To be as authentic as we can be, to be as human as we can be, to reveal all of ourselves without revealing too much information, I guess. And at the same time, to do it in a way that is kind and that respects other people. Because this, as you articulate it, it's not about being in your face with what I think about you, but it's more like owning your own experience and recognizing that you have an effect in the world, and you have an effect on other people, and that you want to honor the power of that effect. And so I think it just beautifully distills a very worthy and beautiful idea.
So do you want to do that now with both the audience and me? What would be an honest, kind, it's easy to be kind now, but what would be an honest thing to say either about your poem or about what I've been saying or about what you've been saying?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, it's related to the poem, and it's also related to my mother. It doesn't seem like a great risky revelation. It's more like just the first thing that comes to mind, which is that in the year after she died, and she died 10 years ago, next week, so it'll be the 10-year anniversary of Mama's death. She died at the age of 73, and I remember in the year that followed, and the 2 years that followed, that whenever I thought about her, there would be this sharp pain that I felt in my chest. It was almost as though, at first, it felt like that my heart was being torn out. It was a visceral, physical feeling. And also, sometimes I would experience a great weight on my shoulders, like something was leaning down on me, like someone was leaning down on me. But as time went on, that it became less and less. And it was almost as though there was this film of dust that started sprinkling over my heart, so that my memories of her became more abstract, I guess, less physical and less visceral. And so that's what time does with loss, with grief, is it I don't want to say smooths things out, but it dampens things. And I missed.
Wow.
I missed the grief.
Oh,
and I
my.
missed
Wow.
feeling hurt. Because I felt somehow more connected
Yes.
to my mother through it, through the pain.
Ouch. Now I could unfortunately identify with that. So reading this poem, at least to me, because my mother being in a very extraordinarily unhappy marriage, hi Mom, needed from her sons, especially her first and third son, my middle brother got slipped through because he was surrounded by us. So he became a psychiatrist. But she needed what I needed. She needed someone to hold her, touch her, love her. And her husband wasn't doing that. And so she needed it from her first and third son. And this poem reminds me that the needing includes really a husband, a lover, not just a son that loves her. So this scared me and my youngest brother, Donald Scott, very much.
What did?
The fact that my mother would want a lover. This is Cambridge, we can say these things, I hope. But this is your poem. So I'm 15, I'm in the bathroom, my mother goes into the bathroom and says, I said this in my mother's presence at a sexual abuse self-help group. She came with me. You come into the bathroom, Mom, and you say, wow, I wish your dad would amaze me the way you do. Which in some ways summed up what she needed from me and Donald Scott. So that's been maybe in your language, a great challenge to overcome in order to be able to love a woman.
Do you have different language for that?
Beside great challenge?
Yes.
You
call this my language.
Your language. It's my. That's probably
it's
not
business
honest.
language.
That's my language actually, but it's easy to talk about intellectually as a great challenge. It's terrifying, traumatizing. Much of my life. I hope not anymore.
Well, one of the great things about getting older, I think, is that we have an opportunity to transcend, work through, find a way around, see differently. A lot of stuff that when we were younger was a great challenge.
So how old were you when you wrote this? When did you write this?
Oh, this is pretty recent. I mean, Mama died in 2002. This was probably 2001.
Oh my! Before she died.
Yeah.
And how do you? And
oh, did I write it before she died? No.
No. You wrote this
after.
But
maybe a couple of years after. A couple of years after.
And you've memorized it. You have. It seems,
largely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're feeling about it today, Mother's Day. If you were speaking to your mother now, what if she? In my belief, we can invoke people, but you might not feel that.
If I were speaking with my mother now, what
would you say to her?
What would I say
after reading this poem? What would I'm afraid to ask. What would she say? Or what
I can tell you what she would say. What she might say. What she said in the past.
Yeah.
Michael, I don't understand your world.
Oh, and my mother was good. My mother would, although when we went to this sexual abuse 12-step program, when we were leaving, she says, "Did those things really happen?" I said, "Yes, they did." So my mother could understand that. I'm grateful to you, Mom, for going with me.
I remember one time that I shared with her. It was the first time, and maybe the only time. It was not long before she died, but I shared with her what happened with a priest, my pastor, when I was living in North Carolina, when he invited me to the rectory to help him with a project. And I'll leave that to your imagination, audience, about what happened. But I told her about it. And she was silent for a long time after that. Just took it in. I don't recall her saying anything about it. Unless she said something like, "Did that really happen?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Yeah, that really happened." I imagine that her reaction was very similar to my dad's when I told him about the same event. And he shared with me afterwards that what he felt was a sense of, I don't know if guilt is the right word, but let's call it guilt, that he had not been there for me as a parent when I needed a parent there. It wasn't like he was being neglectful. It's just that he could not be with me 24 hours a day to make sure that everything was okay. But I think it was startling and grieved her, I'm imagining, to learn that this had happened when I was a child.
So we only have 5 minutes. Do we want to pray at all, inspired by these?
Because we are the God Talk guys.
Yes, we are the God. We've certainly been talking.
So far.
With the talk part, we've got down. Do we want?
How do we pray, Mike? Okay, Michael.
Yes.
How do we? Okay, I guess I've started. I was going to ask, how do we pray on TV? And I already did this, so I guess I'm on the right path.
Oh my.
So how do we pray? How do we pray on TV? I mean, this was a big question that Jesus' apostles asked him. Lord, how do we pray? How do we do it?
And he had an answer, yes.
He had an answer.
Yes.
It evolved into the Lord's Prayer, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'm asking you, Michael Koran.
Yes.
How do we pray on TV?
I think of my friend, a dear friend, who's had a very challenging life, and I asked her if she prayed, and she said she prays all the time. Now, to pray means to ask, the etymology of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I can say now.
Are you stumped?
I can feel.
Because if we go to EWTN, the Catholic TV, or we go to Trinity Network, which is
a 223 in Cambridge.
Okay.
On cable, yes.
I'm sure that they could tell us. They could tell us how to do it. How to pray on TV.
223 or 229. Yes, they do. I'm very moved by them. We went to the church on 44 William Street.
You and I did.
Yes.
And Michelle, yeah.
And they were that was very moving. That's praying in public.
Yes, it was. This was the Alpha Omega Apostolic Holiness Church. I think I'm remembering.
Something like that.
Right.
I think True is in there too.
Yeah.
Wonderful prayer, and much of it in sounds.
Mm-hmm. Speaking in tongues.
Yes, jazz. Ooh. And then there's the Quakers. I'm a member of the 5 Longfellow Park Quaker meeting, and Quakers can pray at any time too when we're having a conversation like now and we have nothing to say or nothing is said. Quakers will sit in the silence often.
I find myself sitting in the silence often when I'm in the presence of a girl that I like.
Oh, right. That's very beautiful. That
Is it beautiful or is it lame?
It's
Depends on
both.
who you ask.
It's probably beautiful.
May it be beautiful.
Beautifully lame, actually. Very, very beautiful. I thank you for saying that. I often feel that. It's words get in the way. Words have been my way of protecting myself, but they get in the way.
Well, it's important to be in a relationship. It's important to, in a relationship, be able to be in the silence together. I had this experience maybe 10 years ago at a Buddhist meditation center out in Western Mass, at Shelburne Falls, Insight Meditation Center. And 10 days, silence. 10 days silent meditation, saying nothing, just listening and following directions. And when everybody, at the very end, when everybody started talking, I found that I liked them better when they were quiet. And maybe I liked myself better when I was quiet too, I don't know. But there was something very profound in that, in just shutting up.
Well, we have 20 seconds to be silent. If we
Are we
want
gonna end with a bang or end in silence?
Well, in the Quaker meeting, if you're moved by the Spirit,
Stand up.
you can speak.
Stand and deliver.
You don't have to stand, but you can.
Well, you've got 5 seconds to do it, man.